Good evening and welcome to the November 27th, 7 p.m. meeting of the City Council. Roll call, please.
The record will show that all members are present.
Thank you. Closed session report.
Yes, the City Council authorized the City Attorney's Office to work with the Revenue Division and the firm of Kiesel, Brocher, and Larson to start and pursue administrative proceedings and litigation, if necessary, related to the collection of TOT from online booking companies.
Very good. Thank you.
Mayor, you want to explain TOT? Just not everybody knows what it
Oh,
is.
TOT is
I'm sorry.
transient occupancy tax, and it's a tax that we charge on hotel rooms as well as short-term rentals like beach rentals and things like that. The city charges, gets revenue, and we use that to promote our visitor-serving industry in town and to offset some of the costs associated with that visitor-serving uses. All right, we're going to have our Pledge of Allegiance now, and that will be followed by invocation given by the President of the Newport Costa Mesa Irvine Interfaith Council, Dr. Dennis Short. And why don't we have Councilman Curry give us the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please join me in the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please join me in prayer. Loving Creator God, during this holy season of Christmas and Hanukkah, we pray for peace in our hearts, peace in our families, in our city, in our nation, in our world. Grant wisdom and understanding to this council as they make decisions which affect all of us. May they be especially conscious at this time of year of helping the poor and the unemployed and the underemployed by their decisions. Amen.
Thank you, Dr. Short. Okay, we have one presentation tonight. It's a presentation by the Irvine Company regarding the new Pelican Hills Golf Course and Resort.
Mayor, members of the City Council, Dan Miller with the Irvine Company. As you know, the golf course and clubhouse has been reopened at Pelican Hill earlier this month. We're making progress on the resort itself, and what we'd like to do tonight is bring you up to date on what is going on over there. And Ralph Grippo, who oversees our resort properties, will give a short presentation on that. He's available if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Take it away, Ralph.
Good evening. Good evening, Mayor. Members of City Council, pleasure to have the opportunity to share the resort at Pelican Hill. Although we opened partial resort on November 2nd, which is the golf club, 36 holes, and the golf grill, I thought I'd give you an update on where we stand in terms of the rest of the resort and just give you a little glimpse into the resort at Pelican Hill. As you know, it's just in a remarkable setting, some of the finest, wonderful, most majestic parts of the world overlooking Newport Coast, 36 holes of golf, truly a great sense of place and character that really fits within the entire area. I love this artist rendering because it shows the 540 acres master plan, what it was going to look like or what we had anticipated it looking like, and where we stand today in terms of that formation. We've got 204 bungalows, which are these rooms down in this area. We've got another section of 128 villas up in this top area, and then the main entrance to the resort is here. I'll come back to some of the other parts of the core hotel and the rest of the resort that's underway. This is the... Yes.
I just think you should say the X, the roof. People will not know that's a roof. Yes.
We love our rooftops. These are the rooftops to the garage parking structures. Beautiful Italian gardens that are visible from the Pelican Ridge coast. So when you look down, you look at a beautiful garden space versus a parking lot. This is the new clubhouse in golf, and those of you that knew the previous golf, this is where the driving range was, which before you had your start tee time was here, and the driving range is here. Now it's all self-contained in one area. This is the golf side and then the grill side with beautiful views overlooking the Pacific Ocean. Just to give you some of the inspiration of where the architecture's come from, it's Palladio design, which is back in the 1500s. Beautiful sweeping scapes that you'll see here, and view corridors, loggias, and so forth, using a lot of wonderful landscape to really make it mature. You'll see that throughout the entire resort. As most of you know, this is Newport Coast Road, and then this becomes Pelican Hill Road, and this is the new bridge that connects the golf club to the tee box on the south course, and then loops around to the other side to the north course. So it's a wonderful sense of arrival, all beautiful landscaping that was brought in. As you can see here in this picture, it's a beautiful arrival. You certainly know you've arrived. Going back, this is one of our parking garage structures, and this is the driving range for the golf and grill. This is the back side to the golf clubhouse, and then this is the arrival up. This is the motor court as we saw it in the artist rendering, and this is what it looks like today. I apologize, in this picture we didn't have a red Ferrari or a yellow Ferrari available, but we have the black ones. Although I have seen a couple. It's Pelican Grill. Again, beautiful outdoor terrace, heated from the floor and the ceilings, so truly 24/7, enjoy it any time of the year. It's a beautiful California lifestyle cuisine. These are some of the corridors. Again, it's open to the public. We're so excited to be able to have this facility back to the public, and so we welcome everybody for both golf and dining. As you can see, it's a very special place. Beautiful architecture, open kitchen. Here, again, a California lifestyle, whether tortilla soups or skirt steak salads, short ribs, pistachio-crusted ahi, a variety of items that I think you'll enjoy, whether it's within the dining room itself or whether in the bar seating or outside along the terrace as well. And there's your beautiful terrace. We've got about 40 seats along the outside, and again, the wind screens, heat from above and below. The floor is heated, so you can enjoy it season around. This is the Golf Pro Shop. Beautiful space, wonderful retail. Pick up a hat, come by and visit us. This gives you an overview of the main part of the hotel. If you remember, this is the original golf clubhouse and pro shop here. This is now the new arrival into the resort, which this is the arrival court, and then this goes down to all the bungalows area. This is a 136-foot diameter pool. It's a Coliseum pool. In fact, when you stand from this point and look up, you think you're in Rome and looking at the Coliseum. It's pretty spectacular. We have a restaurant here, as well as another restaurant here, an Italian restaurant, and then our entire spa is here, 22 treatment rooms, and again, will be very much a Roman style and beautiful. Down in this area is our ballroom area, and then we've retained these two structures and have a chapel that will be in this building, and then additional meeting space here. And then this, where these trailers are, will be a beautiful wedding lawn. So we look forward to hosting many weddings for all of our customers here in the Newport Coast area. This is a picture of the spa, of what it'll look like inside with Roman baths, which are pretty spectacular, and then the arrival to the front, which would be right here. This is the front arrival, the front drive entry into the reception desk, and this is what we call this oculus, which is this beautiful sun dome right above. Library sitting areas, beautiful sitting areas throughout the entire resort. That's the first thing you see when you check in. So if we can drag your attention away from the sights, we hope to check you in. And then this will be Andrea Restaurant, our fine dining Italian restaurant, again with beautiful views outside along the terrace areas here. These are the views. It's a pretty dramatic shot. This is the finishing hole on 18 on the south course. And then again, the pool area, again, when you look up, it is truly a Roman Colosseum architecture. We've got cabanas that surround the upper deck here, and then other seating area below. Again, the Andrea Restaurant and ballroom space. And then these are all the bungalows, 204 bungalows. We have a children's kids club camp on this side as well. Coliseum pool as we saw it in artist rendering, and here's how we're coming together. These are the cabanas that'll sit up top and where they are today. It truly will be one of the finest resorts in the world. We're pretty excited about the response from the customers and some of the media attention that we've already received from around the world. So we're truly going to be creating something that the entire world, not just Newport Coast or the Southern California region, but the entire world has yet to see. This is what one of the bungalows look like. The bungalows are just, a simple way of putting them. There are guest rooms. They're 847 square feet in space, which is almost twice the size of a normal guest room. It's like having your own private home, and in single stories, so there's nobody above you, and beautiful views. Everyone has an ocean view. This is one of our model rooms. This is what the rooms will look like, again, with the beautiful ocean views. This is the bathrooms inside, and this is a parlor area for one of the suites. All the rooms have a fireplace, 42-inch plasma TV, and again, 847 square feet with the terrace. Outdoor terrace with also the windscreen, private on both sides, wonderful space. And again, this is the views of the bungalow area. I like showing these shots because, again, this is a parking structure. We think it's pretty fabulous, and this is the architecture for the parking structure. So you can see how the Roman style and the Palladio design has come together. As you come up Pelican Hill Road, these are our villas. We have 2-bedroom villas on the north side and 3 and 4 bedrooms on the south side, all again facing the ocean views. They're 2, 3, 4 bedroom, better way of describing homes, anywhere from 2,000 to 3,600 square feet. Within the villas, we have a private villa clubhouse and pool. So this is the pool as we saw in the artist Reading and the clubhouse, and this is where we are today. So you have a private check-in for the villa club guests and those enjoying a different type of stay. Within the villas, you have full cooking facilities, a Wolf range, Sub-Zero appliances, so it's truly a luxurious environment. So we look to add to that TOT tax soon. These are an example of our 3 and 4 bedroom villas. The 3 bedrooms are the single story, the 4 bedrooms are the 2 stories. They're coming along quite quickly. Beautiful ocean views again. These are the 2 bedrooms across the road. There's actually 2 bedrooms on each floor, so we actually have 8 bedrooms in total. So this is the artist renderings, and here's where we are today. And then some of the craftsmanship, we're quite proud of the entire group of people involved with, whether it's the millwork or some of the design or the architecture and the finish work is truly some of the finest you'll see anywhere in the world. So it will truly be one of the finest resorts in our lifetime. It's the resort at Pelican Hill. It will be, again, opening December of 2008, so give us another 13 months and we'll start bringing the TOT tax as well.
Thank you for bringing
Thank
that.
you.
Thank you for that presentation. It looks quite spectacular, and I'm sure we all look forward to your grand opening. Yes, Councilman Curry.
Just a brief comment. I'd like to, Ralph, first of all, compliment you. I was up at the golf club on Saturday. It's a beautiful, fabulous facility. I also want to compliment you and the Irvine Company for how you've been able to keep Pelican Hill Road North open to the residents. I was driving on it. It was very accessible. There were no obstructions whatsoever. You've really been good neighbors working with the community. I know they appreciate it. And this is going to be a fabulous community asset when it's completed. Congratulations.
I was lucky enough to get a tour. I didn't get as much as an appetizer, but I did get a tour. And it is the attention to detail. We were walking by a fountain, which was a big jug, an earthenware jug, and they, oh yeah, that's 15th century. I was like, it's beautiful. I'm just sorry you didn't show the locker rooms. I would gladly trade my house for one of them. That's how nice it is.
Very good. Thank you. All right, Madam Clerk, notices of the public.
The city provides a yellow sign-in card to assist in the preparation of the minutes. The completion of the card is not required in order to address the council. Speakers must limit comments to 5 minutes on agenda items. The council has the discretion to extend or shorten the time limit on agenda or non-agenda items. As a courtesy, please turn cell phones and pagers off or set them in the silent mode. This is the time for city council announcements or matters which council members would like placed on a future agenda for discussion, action, or report.
Okay, Councilwoman Gardner, any announcements?
A question, my energy audit? I think that was one of the first things I ever asked about, and I know we haven't, staff is very busy. But I also know that Edison and the gas company do complimentary audits, so I wondered if we'd even contacted them at this point.
I don't know where we are on it. I'll get back to you about that.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Daigle, nothing. Councilman Webb? Councilman Henn? Councilman Curry?
Nothing?
Councilman Selich?
Well, it's Christmas time on Balboa Island, and have a couple of events to announce. Next, this coming Sunday, December the 2nd, they're going to have the tree lighting ceremony at the fire station on Balboa Island. That's going to be at 5:30 p.m. Everyone's invited to attend that. And then in the afternoon, from 3 to 6, right across from the fire station in the street, they're bringing in some snow for the kids to play in. So it's a good time to take the kids down and get a little snow experience when you're not up in the mountains. And then on Sunday, December the 9th, there's going to be the Balboa Island Home Tour. It'll be a chance to tour some of the spectacular homes that are on Balboa Island. And that's going to be from 11 o'clock in the morning to 4 in the afternoon. And the tickets can be obtained at many of the merchants on Marine Avenue. So if you want to see some of the homes on Balboa Island, it's a good opportunity to take a tour of them. Thank you.
Thank you. I have several announcements. First, coming up also this Sunday is December 2nd is the Christmas Walk in Corona del Mar. I believe it starts at 9 or 11? 11. Okay, it starts at 11 o'clock. Thank you, Jim. And it's a great time to get down there and look for some deals. I think they have a beer and wine garden set up for those who want to be a little more festive. And it's always a good, fun time. Next, we have on Saturday, December 8th, from 10:30 a.m. to 1 p.m., it says here, please join us at the 19th Annual Winter Wonderland event at the Bonita Creek Park, which is at the corner of University Drive and La Vida, and that's L-A-V-I-D-A, to welcome the troops to Newport Beach. The troops are going to be on hand as part of Operation Christmas for our Troops 4 program, and they will be here to visit with you and accept donations of new, unwrapped, not wrapped, but unwrapped toys for families of our troops and new or used DVDs for the troops. Cash donations are also welcome. If you can't make it down to that event to bring your toys or your donations, the city will be accepting donations up until Friday, December 21st, and you can bring those to the city clerk's office here at City Hall. So it's always wonderful to be able to help out our troops and their families at this holiday time. Another thing I'd like to mention is that at our next meeting on Tuesday, December 11th at 4 o'clock for our council study session, we're going to probably dedicate either the whole meeting or most of the meeting to a session on our new group home residential use ordinances, which are being proposed by our special counsel from Richards, Watson, and Gershon. Anybody interested in hearing what they have to say, they'll kind of be rolling out the bones, basically, of our new ordinance, which we'll probably be seeing sometime first meeting in January to be actually discussed and voted on by the council. But certainly I would encourage anybody who's interested in that to attend the 4 o'clock study session on Tuesday, December 11th. Okay? And I believe that's it. So why don't we move on to our consent calendar. Before we start our consent calendar, I do want to make an announcement about one of the agenda items this evening. Item number 12, I think it is. Agenda item number 12 is the Panini Cafe appeal. At the request of the applicant, and we have a representative here, Dennis O'Neill, if you kind of come up, Denny. At the request of the applicant, they've asked for a continuance of this to, I believe, March 25th. And so with the assent of
Yes.
Councilwoman Gardner, who called this up, I believe that's at your request.
Yes, Mr. Mayor and members of the council, good evening. Yes, I am here representing Panini Cafe, and we would like a continuance to allow time for us to further review the valet parking program and make modifications that we feel will improve that system, as well as further review other project matters that we think will be better received by the community and hopefully by the council. So we are requesting a continuance until March 25 of 2008.
Very good, thank you. So for those of you who are here, for that hearing. We will not be entertaining public comment with regard to that. I'm pretty confident the council will vote to continue it to March 25th, and so, if you're wanting to catch your TV show, now's the time to leave. Okay, with that, let's
Mayor?
move. Yes.
I might also add that the new date will also be noticed, so it'll be a brand-new noticed public hearing.
Right, we'll be re-noticing it publicly, so everybody will know when it's coming up. They don't have to worry about remembering. All right, our consent calendar. Madam Clerk?
All matters listed under consent calendar, items 1 through 11, are considered by the council to be routine and will all be enacted by one motion in the form listed below. The city council members have received detailed staff reports on each of the items recommending an action. There will be no separate discussion of these items prior to the time the council votes on the motion unless members of the council, staff, or the public request specific items to be discussed and/or removed from the consent calendar for separate action. Members of the public who wish to discuss a consent calendar item should come forward to the lectern. Upon invitation by the mayor, state their name and item number. If the optional sign-in card has been completed, it should be placed in the box provided at the podium.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Councilman Henn, anything to pull?
Nothing.
Councilman Curry?
No items?
Mayor Pro Tem Salich?
Nothing?
Councilwoman Gardner?
Number 9.
Councilwoman Daigle?
Mr. Mayor, no items to pull, but on item number 10 on the consent calendar, contract between the Irvine Ranch Conservancy to manage certain lands. I'd like to note that I'm confident IRC will do a good job here. Welcome the infusion of resources and heartened by the support of Dr. and Mrs. Skinner as well as SPAWN. And I would like to have that approved, but to clarify that the City Council would approve all amendments, new fiscal demands, few modification zones, as well as trail infrastructure. And then also, Dr. Skinner had asked for an amendment that we refer to the Irvine Ranch as the historic Irvine Ranch. So if it could be moved with those as amended. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Webb? None. And I have none. Does staff have any items they want to pull?
We have none.
Okay, does the public have any items they want to pull this evening? Okay. Dolores Oddings indicated she'd like item number 1, the minutes pulled. All right, do I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I move approval of the consent calendar items 1 through 11 with the exception of 1 and 9, and number 10 is amended.
Second? Anyone? Second. Thank you. All in favor?
Motion carries.
Okay. Item number 1, consent calendar, minutes of the special meeting, and regular meeting of November 13th, 2007.
Hi, my name is Dolores Odding. I live in Newport Beach. Happy holidays to everybody. I missed the last meeting, but I caught some of it on video streaming, and I'm just a little bit confused because item number 9, I guess, is I should have highlighted. I forgot my stuff at home. So council, city, it goes to item number 19, which is current business none. And then goes back to city council announcements. And that was, I guess, and I had taped it, so I was going to play it back to you guys, because what it said was that, oh, well, since there were no public comments, I was going to bring Mr. Markham up in public comments, and so instead we'll have a council announcement, or words to that effect. But the bottom line is that when you do something like that, you're supposed to take a vote, okay? And then Mr. Markham is a paid employee. Since when would he come up during public comments? I mean, it was alluded that he was going to come up during public comments and go over this 31-page document. I've never in the history of coming here, which has been for God knows how many years, I hate to admit I'm getting so old, that's never happened before. And I have a hard time understanding how it happened that night. I mean, I go away and miss one meeting, and you have like 3 violations. Of course, that's only my opinion, but and one would say that you didn't take any action, and therefore there was no harm done. But the whole idea of the Brown Act is to involve the public in what is on the agenda, and that item was never on the agenda. And so I don't understand how you even, and even if he just reported on it, it wasn't there for the public to be able to have a comment. And so then if the public did want to have a comment on it, they would have to pull the minutes, like I'm doing, and then they would then have to take their time in public comments later on and talk about an item 2 weeks ago, so they lost out on participating. I don't get it, and I really don't know how you did it, and I'm very disappointed that that happened. That was a very important issue that's been dragging on in this community for over a year, and to handle it that way was not the most professional way, and just is another thing that's happening here in our community that doesn't appear to be what the public wants or deserves. Thank you.
Thank you, I almost said Councilwoman Otting. Thank you, Mrs. Otting. Did the city attorney have any comments on her questions about the Brown Act? And
I don't believe it was a Brown Act violation.
thank you. Okay, anybody else have any comments on item number 1? Okay, seeing no one, we'll close that item. Do I have a motion? Okay, all in favor?
Motion carries.
All right. What was the next one? Number 9? Who called up?
I did.
Or Nancy, go ahead.
Is there anyone here, I don't see Bernie, is there anybody else here from the committee as far as the Centennial Monument? I just wanted to get a sense of whether the fundraising has peaked or whether we continue to raise money. I don't know if anybody else has any information. Mike, you have something?
Mike?
No, we don't think the fundraising has peaked. In fact, we think once the city approves moving forward with this, that we'll get another sort of booster shot of fundraising. Once people know that it is for certain that it's moving forward, it will be constructed, and there will be opportunities even after the completion of construction for additional contributions. So we're confident that there's a good chance to raise the money that needs to be raised.
Yeah, all right, thank you. Then I would move the motion.
Okay. Second. Public comment? Okay, seeing none, we'll close public comment. Please vote.
Motion carries.
Okay, is that our last one? Keep track. Very good, thank you. All right, our next agenda item is the Panini, I'm sorry? Oh, yeah, public, what? No, it's Panini appeal.
I
Panini
move we
appeal.
continue this item to March 22nd, or 25th.
Second.
Okay, and Mike, correct, we're not opening it up for public comment, right, because we're just continuing to that meeting?
Correct.
Okay, then please vote.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Item number 13, adoption of the 2007 California Fire Code and the 2006 International Fire Code with amendments as part of the Newport Beach Municipal Code. Do we have any staff report on that?
If you want a staff report, we will provide it.
Does anybody?
I have a couple of questions.
Okay.
Okay. Well, why don't we have Mr. Bunting come forward, and once you ask the questions, and if we need any more, he can launch into his report.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. Steve Bunting, Fire Department.
On page 4, section 307.1.1, which is deleted now, is replaced by section 307.1.1, a new one. This prohibits the open burning and/or recreational fires, which are offensive or objectionable because of smoke or odor emissions, or when atmospheric conditions are not good, such as say when we have bad air days or we had the fires. And then we go down, we talk about beach, camp, and recreational fires. Now, are those two different things, or would this be, on those bad days, we would say to people at Big Corona, no, you can't have a fire down there?
No, this isn't. This doesn't say that you can't have a fire down there. What it says is that it has to be in a provided public fire pit. 307.42.B.
Right.
Camp,
but are you
fires.
saying, but those are recreational fires too, and
Yeah.
the 307.1.1 would seem to say that any recreational fire, if it's interfering with the air quality or something, could be prohibited.
What we added the word recreational fire to the model code language, and the reason we did that is occasionally we would have a permitted recreational fire, and neighbors would complain about the smoke blowing in. And this just gives us an opportunity to include that in our enforcement, to include recreational fires in our enforcement, the ability to stop a recreational fire if the smoke becomes offensive or a nuisance.
But are we distinguishing between a recreational fire and a beach fire?
No.
Okay,
No,
so
it's
this
included.
could be a tool in case we needed to use it, even at the beach?
Yes.
Okay.
That-
That's what I-
Exactly.
Good. That's what
Sorry.
I wanted to know, thank you. And then, the speed bumps. I know the fire department doesn't like speed bumps, but are we comfortable with just saying there are no speed bumps forever, and that we have other speed control methods traffic calming methods that we like and will do as well?
Exactly. Here's what we did. In the last fire code, the 2001, speed bumps were prohibited. Since then, the council came up with traffic calming policies. We like those. Unlike the city's public works department, who deals with public streets, the fire department deals with a lot of private streets. And that's mostly where we have our speed bump problems. So we thought the smart thing to do would be to take the city's traffic calming guidelines for public streets and apply them to private streets. So when we get a request for a traffic calming measure, we'd like them to go through that same process. And so that's what the revised language is here. So speed bumps since July of '99 have been illegal. Speed humps have now come into the equation since the traffic calming policy. And
what's the difference?
The speed hump rises, correct me if I'm wrong, 2.5 inches and 6 feet, I believe. So you have a 6-foot incline to a 2.5-inch height, and then, or 2.5 or 3 inch, and then another 6-foot decline. And as mild as that seems to you, you feel that in a car at a high rate of speed.
Right.
At a low rate of speed, you don't. And there are 1 or 2 installed in the port streets that you can actually go see how it happens. And even more so if you put diagonal hash marks on it and you see it in advance.
And the fire department's comfortable with those?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, the engines go over them nicely.
And so then the speed bump is more abrupt and...
Yeah.
Okay.
Throws everything in the compartments up. Guys hit their heads.
Speed bump is the one that you go over and it feels like it's taking out the whole undercarriage of your car.
Yeah.
All right. I didn't know there was a distinction. So.
Yeah, yeah, and so the speed bumps work well for us.
Any further questions? Anybody on council have further questions? Thank you, Mr. Bunning.
Thank you.
All right, I'll open it up for public comment. Does anybody want to comment on our new fire code regulations? All right, seeing no one, we'll close public comment.
Mr. Mayor, that was a public hearing, so you opened and closed the public hearing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll move the new fire code.
Second.
Okay, please vote.
Motion carries.
Okay, item number 14 is adoption of the 2007 California building codes. We had quite an extensive presentation by our head of our building department, Jay Elvitar, at a study session. We don't intend to repeat that now. I don't think, does council have any further questions of Mr. Elvitar? All right, I'm going to open up for public comment then. Seeing no one, we'll close public comment.
I move approval of the recommended actions related to ordinances and amendments.
Second.
Please vote.
Motion carries.
Okay, Madam Clerk.
Public comments. Public comments are invited on non-agenda items generally considered to be within the subject matter jurisdiction of the council. Speakers must limit comments to 3 minutes. Before speaking, please state your name for the record.
Anybody want to make a public comment?
Hi, my name is Darlene Coleman. I've had my home here in Newport Beach on the peninsula for over 30 years. I also worked and retired from the city of Newport Beach. I'm amazed at what's been going on over the overconcentration of rehab homes here on the peninsula. I don't object to having the rehomes, but I do object to having over 100 surrounding my home and having the vans picking up and dropping off everyone every day. I remember you, Don Webb, when you were the mayor, bragging about walking all the streets in Newport Beach. Did you have blinders on when you came down here to the peninsula? Oh, and our esteemed Mayor Brzezinski, you must really be blind not to have seen what was going on at 214 Cedar. You had to pass by that duplex every day in order to go to work. It must have been because of the wording in your lease. How many of us could put that wording in a lease? If we did, we would be in court right now. Give us a break and step down. Your conflict of interest has been shown. I don't care what the consulting attorneys say.
Thank you, Mrs. Pullman. Anybody else have a public comment?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council and staff, members of the public watching. Larry Porter. I wish to comment on the last meeting where you had Dr. David Nelson, the Mr. Fluoride cram down, show you guys a picture of that horrible mouth of that child. That is so disingenuous. It had nothing to do with that poor creature not receiving fluoride in his formative years. I wish to keep this wound open, and I'm hoping you guys will actually begin to come to the party. Mr. Henn, I wish he might report on what he has done trying to get legislation passed on the state level. He's made those comments. Also, you know about the toothpaste. No more than a pea full go to the hospital, the poison control. You know about the American Pediatrics Association. Do not mix fluoride with infant formula. Don't do it. And your position and your postings of information on your webpage are horrible. They do not include any of the comments made by the citizens who've come to you with information that is the truth, telling you that this fluoride medication is not an entirely benign medication whatsoever. Item 2, concerning the Irvine Company's development in Fashion Island, I think it is absolutely ludicrous and shameful that it is moving ahead so quickly. To think of adding half again the height of the buildings is at 430 residences, absent being vetted in front of the citizenry to get their arms around it. It's just wrong. It's not right. It's a ginormous Christmas present for the Irvine Company and coal in the socks of the people of Newport Beach. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Just a comment that I happened to see the utilities director on my way today, and they are not complete with their answers. They're still doing research on some of the ones that came up during the meeting, so it's not that they didn't listen, it's just that they're still researching some of it.
And quickly, to the water budget. Where's the water going to come from this increase? And we all know that we face a very troubled water future. Is the Irvine Company, they can just snap their fingers and the water appears? I don't think so.
Mr. Mayor.
Councilman Henn.
Just one other quick comment. I have done nothing at the state level to try to address this issue. I have encouraged those that do feel passionately about this to do so.
You too, please.
Anybody else have a public comment?
Bob Rush. Mr. Rosansky, I do think that Mr. Gershon's presentation at the last council meeting was a violation of the Brown Act.
It was actually Mr. Markham.
Excuse me, Mr. Markham of Gershon, Richard Watson Gershon. And despite your hasty conclusion in the matter then, and the subsequent public claims of vindication, outside counsel's conflict of interest audit letter did not clear you of anything. In the letter's own conclusion, it states, "This conclusion is not free from doubt," which is no surprise to me. However, what is a surprise to me is that in June of '04, while people throughout West Newport were suffering, you, a sitting councilman, profited by contracting in Newport Beach with a known drug rehab operator to lease him a property that you were involved with in your own district at 214 Cedar. You put your signature right alongside that of the rehab operator on a contract and chose not to refer the matter to anyone else, nor discuss your involvement publicly as you should have done before you rolled into the numerous votes you made in council changing laws surrounding group rehab homes. that resulted in overconcentration of drug rehabs in Newport Beach. Most all of the neighbors could tell that 214 Cedar was a rehab due to the rotating occupants, the vans, and the cigarette butts all over. And you, Mr. Rosansky, pass right by that house every day, going to and from both your residence and your business office, both located only 3 to 4 houses away to either side of 214 Cedar. This went on for over 3 years, right up until April 2007. You collected their rent and earned a management fee in the process. And according to you, you never noticed that 214 Cedar was being used for a rehab. No amount of misstatements or misdirection on your part can erase what you did, Mr. Rosansky. And the community has witnessed you using the council seat to try to evade the spirit and letter of the law while trying to scorn and intimidate any Newport Beach resident who challenged you on the truth. Your lack of uncoerced honesty is astounding, and it reflects poorly on all issues that you're now involved with the city. That is a true distraction to the city's business. I'm going to file an FPPC complaint and also consider all legal options available to me regarding your further participation in ordinance revision. You should get your own attorney and stop using the taxpayers' money for your own personal matters. Newport Beach residents will not stand for catch-me-if-you-can politics any longer. You should be ashamed of yourself.
Great campaign speech, Mr. Rush.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Councilwoman Gardner.
I don't think it's fair to characterize the mayor as using the taxpayers' money. He had indicated for a long time that he didn't feel he had a conflict, and when that was not satisfactory, we asked, as a group, we asked that all of us be looked at because we knew that there were concerns and questions. So this was not something he made a personal request of all by himself. This was something the council felt would be helpful if we all had the attorneys, the new attorneys with no previous involvement, look at all of us as far as any conflicts. So it's not just Mr. Rosansky.
I'd also like to add that I think the letter prepared by Richard Watson-Gershon that was presented here by Mr. Markham last week is self-explanatory. Anybody who wants to get a copy of it, they're more than welcome to contact the city. I believe Assistant City Manager Dave Kiff has a copy, or you can email me, and I'll be more than happy to provide a copy. It was quite clear from the letter that I do not have a conflict. I've said I don't have a conflict in the past. I continue to maintain I don't have a conflict. Code enforcement, our city code enforcement has visited that property twice. There's no evidence of anybody living there other than Mr. Ryan Price, who has been an occupant of that property since 1999, when he managed a little restaurant, I think is when he moved in. That was his job. So there is nobody living there. The information that Mr. Rush is giving you to is not correct. He knows it's not correct. And so, you know, I don't know how many times I can address this issue, and I don't have a financial interest in a sober living home today. I have not had one in the past. I've had 3 sets of attorneys tell me that I don't have a conflict of interest. If Mr. Rush, I didn't ask you to come back to the podium. Thank you, Mr. Rush. If Mr. Rush has any information, or any other resident in this town has any information indicating otherwise, then I encourage you, I will give you the postage to mail your complaint to the FPPC. They are you laugh, Mr. Rush, but to this date, no one has ever seen Mr. Rush's evidence. He comes here, he makes these statements, unsupported, unsubstantiated claims. I've asked him privately, I've asked him publicly to provide his proof. He has done so in either occasion, either publicly or privately. If he has the evidence, or anybody else, including Mrs. Pullman, who's getting up, who doesn't want to hear the truth, has any information, thank you, Mrs. Pullman, you can leave now. Sir, I'm talking. Thank you. If anybody has any information, I would encourage you to send it to the FPPC, send it to the DA, the Orange County DA, if you feel that you have information that indicates I have a conflict. Okay? I mean, I don't know what else I can tell people other than that. There just is nothing there. There is no evidence. The emperor has no clothes. Thank you. Yes, sir.
My name is Kent Coleman. I live at 213 39th Street. I have personally seen vans dropping people off at 214 Cedar numerous times, picking people up at 214 Cedar. Recently, I haven't. Maybe they pulled them out. I don't know. But I've seen them in there, and this is the last 6 months prior to about 2 months ago, 6 months prior to that time, I've seen vans pick them up and drop them off at 214 Cedar Street.
As I said, sir, if you didn't hear my lengthy plea to you as well as the rest of the public, if you have any information to the contrary, please, please, I beg you to report it to the FPPC. Those folks are the ultimate arbiters of these types of disputes. I don't know what else I could do to tell people that I don't have a conflict, I've never had a conflict, and if you think I do, or if you think I'm not being truthful, then I encourage you to report me. I mean, I don't know what else to tell people. Thank you. Dolores, welcome back.
Move on. Happy holidays. My name's Dolores Otting. I live in Newport Beach. This is a letter to Mayor Rosansky and council members that I'm going to be giving to staff. And
Excuse me, Dolores, do we have copies for everyone?
No, not of this
All
one. Okay, thank you, though. At the November 13th, 2007 study session, Councilwoman Gardner, thank you very much, asked Dr. Nelson about the concern and issue of absorption dermal. We, the city, have children swimming in pools with fluoridated water and taking baths in fluoridated water. Is there a problem with absorption? Dr. Nelson answered, and I quote, to my knowledge, to his knowledge, although he is not a dermatologist, but to his knowledge, you don't absorb fluoride through the skin. It does not happen, emphasis added. I have never read anything in the world literature that I have read a lot of the world literature in the past 10 years since I took this job. I am not aware that fluoride passes through the skin and into the system, and if it did, probably in such small quantities that you would never know it. It is not an issue that has ever been brought up before. So I am not aware that it does that. And under the California Public Records Act and the Freedom of Information Act, I would like a copy of all written information from the city, studies, peer-reviewed and otherwise, notes, phone messages, anything that substantiates, supports, and gives merit to the above answer. And then, while looking up Mr. Nelson's email address and fax number, I came across this wonderful letter that he should have given to you guys 2 weeks ago when he showed up. In this letter, pass them out. This letter just flipped me out this afternoon. This letter is from the California Department of Health Services, and it is to every health provider located in the metropolitan water area. And it starts off by saying the California Department of Public Health recommends suspending prescription fluoride supplements for 1 year in areas serviced by the Metropolitan Water District of Southern California. Now, why didn't he tell you this? I have a friend that went to the dentist today, and his dentist suggested he should take fluoride supplements. He said, no, thank you, because he knows me. But in the meantime, okay? But in the meantime, if you go to the back page or the very bottom, prescribing fluoride supplements at the professional discretion of health providers based on factors such as current level of fluoride in the local water systems, as well as the patient's overall risk for dental disease. However, it is recommended that you suspend supplements for 1 year after the MET implementation date to allow the local public water systems mentioned above to record average fluoride levels in their water. Halting supplements during this 1 year period will ensure that consumers do not receive more fluoride than necessary and will not have an effect on tooth formation in children, okay? I want to know what restaurants do we go to, because they're all going to be using fluoride. And this is the part that's so sad. Please contact Dr. David Nelson at the California Department of Oral Health if you need additional information. What kind of an expert was he, and how does he have his job if he knows this information, comes down, gets on television, starts off by saying he's a recovering dentist, which was the wrong joke to make in the city of Newport Beach, and then poo-hoos everything that everyone has said, and none of my, I'm done almost. None of my information, thanks to Councilmember Don Webb, that I have ever brought up to you came from any fringe website. Everything came from the Department of Health, CDC, the ADA, and this document that you guys did is worthless information. I like Steve Miter. I love you guys. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. This is worthless. The ADA gave interim guidelines. You need to tell the public you are liable. This is very sad. Thank you.
Thank you, Dolores.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
As far as the absorption, that is the specific issue that the Utilities Director is researching. Well, but you brought it up, Dolores, and maybe not everybody else knows that. They are researching that to put on the website, so that we haven't ignored it.
I have one comment, since Dolores mentioned my name and reports, and she sent me an email concerning the CDC statement on the 2006 National Research Council report on fluoride. And it's interesting, some of the statements that she mentioned in that report don't quite agree with what we are doing in the way of adding fluoride to our water. Let me just read a few comments from the information she sent. CDC, by the way, is the Centers for Disease Control. CDC recommends, this starts off this report, CDC recommends community water fluoridation as a safe, effective, and inexpensive way to prevent tooth decay and dental caries. Comprehensive reviews of the safety and effectiveness of fluoride in water have concluded that water fluoridation is safe and effective. Some water has naturally occurring fluorides, and the study that was done considering fluoride in drinking water, a scientific review of EPA standards from the National Research Council released in 2006, addresses safe maximum fluoride levels. The report addresses the safety of high levels of fluoride and does not question the use of lower levels of fluoride. Further on in the report, CDC's recommendation remains the same, that community water fluoridation is safe and effective for preventing tooth decay. Water fluoridation should be continued in communities currently fluoridating and extended to those without fluoridation. CDC continues to strongly support community water fluoridation as a safe and effective public health measure to prevent and control tooth decay and to improve overall health. Water fluoridation benefits people of all ages and socioeconomic groups, including those difficult to reach through other public health programs and private dental care. I just wanted to thank you for providing that information, and I thought that some of the other parts of the report should be read into the record.
Good evening, Mr. Nichols. I think Mr. Webb just used up all your time, so sorry.
Did a wonderful job. The CDC is, and the other organizations within our government that are promoting fluoridation have fired individuals. Those individuals have sued the government for misstatements and won those cases in court. And in fact, all of the scientists back at the EPA, 2,000 of them, provided a statement and a unanimous support for removal of fluoride from the water. It's not only there, but this is now happening throughout the world. We seem to be the one nation that wants to continue this. Many of the nations have reached that point of no return, and we are in that age where we can do that too, and I'd like to point out how. When we put fluoride in the water, they've stated only 97% of it is not used by humans at all. So what you're doing is you're watering lawns. Okay, well, when you're watering lawns with fluoride, that fluoride goes into our upper water level. That upper water level gets recycled. We can't do without the water in that level anymore. We are pumping from a lower reservoir, but we have to replace the water into that lower reservoir. So now we have the Green Acres project by the county that's taking this upper water level that we have in excess, which is not very deep before you hit water, and there's a clay layer about 150 feet down, and then you have about 1,000 feet of a very deep reservoir north of the 55 freeway. That reservoir is the only thing where you can get good water. The upper water is already gone. It has to be medicated and processed before it can be used for humans. And that's because of the toxicity in that water supply, both of fluorine type things, but also of things we put on our fertilizer and stuff like that. What I'd like to point out is that when you start putting this, you do not get the fluoride out of the water by reverse osmosis. This is shown by our own water district that had a very acid level. In fact, such an acid level that they were taking the calcium out of the concrete pipe that's taking this water back up to the place they're putting it back in the underground. Okay, what they did is they had put sodium bicarbonate in that neutralized that, and were able to handle it.
Okay, Mr. Nichols, your time is up. Thank you.
What I want to point out, and I
Dick,
think
come
I
on, your
should be
time is
allowed
up.
to
I've
say
been very
that.
careful about, or very considerate in the past of giving you extra time, but, we need to move on. Thank you.
Okay, my comment is India.
My comment is your time is up, Mr. Nichols.
India has the
Thank you,
same
Mr.
problems
Nichols.
we have, and they are now putting millions into trying to solve this. They cannot understand.
Dick, I'm going to ask the officer to
how
come up if you
fluoride
don't leave the
can
podium.
be used.
Thank you.
My name is Chris Sullivan, and I live in Corona Del Mar. And I have been very concerned and rather distressed about this whole fluoride thing. As you've heard me talk about this before, I wasn't able to attend the last meeting. And I have been very actively looking into whole home defluoridation processes that will work and that aren't in themselves hazardous. I have been talking to a lot of different people, and about a week ago I talked with the head chemical technician at the Metropolitan Water District Deemer plant, from which we'll be getting our water with the fluoride in it. And I asked her about what she thought about would be a good way of working with defluoridation of our own houses. And she told me there are probably two methods that could work, possibly. One is reverse osmosis, which is highly impractical for whole home. And if you just use the unit that goes underneath the tap, it wastes 5 gallons of water for every 1 gallon of water that you get. And even then, it doesn't completely remove the fluoride. Another method is called activated alumina, which is something that I had never heard about that I've been also checking into. And one of the problems with the activated alumina for whole house is that you have to find out exactly what all the other contaminants are that are in your own water supply that could compete for the receptors of the activated alumina and take over and not allow the fluoride to be attached. So for those of us who are wanting to remove the fluoride from our water, because we strongly believe that there are some severe health issues with this, I'm going to have to probably pay for somebody to come out and test my water unless this is something that the city is willing to do. You can look at the water quality reports, but does that mean exactly that's what's going to be in the water that goes into my house? No. So at one of the meetings, it was advised to us that, since there's nothing that can be done, it's really up to us individuals to go about, finding some process if we wanted to have our water defluoridated. But I also feel that the city kind of needs to help us and maybe owes us to test our water if we're going to use this activated alumina or whatever to make sure that it will work on our own water supplies. Otherwise, there's nothing really that will remove it from the whole house. And what I'm concerned about is the showering and the watering and all these other things besides just drinking this water that's going to affect us. And I wrote a letter to all you, or I emailed all of you guys a while ago, and I really am hoping that you will step up to the plate to lead an effort to go to the legislature. Because really the law needs to be changed at that level. And why does it have to be foisted upon us individuals when you guys are our elected reps, our council members here? It seems like it would be a stronger statement if you as a bloc would move forward with some way of, going to the legislature, the governor or something, to have this repealed, this mandate that they voted in the 90s.
Ma'am, your time is up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Blythe Fair, Corona Del Mar resident. And you know how sometimes after a conversation you think, oh, why didn't I think? And that came to me when I left here last time. I should have worn a blue suit. I guess you get listened to a little more seriously. But then I just thought, the word recall, haven't we heard that more than once? And when you think of thalidomide, DDT, I mean, those are the more obvious, but more recently, Vioxx and some of the others. And if you, even local athletes have, from this area, as you probably have read, have died from putting analgesics, Bengay or whatever related, because it's too much through the skin. The skin is our largest organ, and what we're absorbing through it is frightening with the fluoride situation. And I think we really need to think in terms of, oh, it's safe because it's expedient right now. But as Chris Sullivan was pointing out, yes, I know we probably need to deal with this at a larger level, but asking you to help us with that as a body, being more recognized, we would appreciate that. They keep mentioning that we're going to get small amounts of fluoride, but that's the whole problem is we can't measure how much we're getting. For one person who drinks more than another, for one person who is, clients of mine are hoping to go into the Olympics. They're in the water all the time. What they're absorbing is more than what they should in their young years. The problem is no way to measure it. And as this gentleman pointed out, Larry, is it? I should know by now the familiar faces and names. But anyway, as Larry was pointing out, it truly is a medication. You have to have a prescription to get it. And as I mentioned in our very first meeting, we haven't even talked about its effect in the ocean and when it is distilling down. Are we going to be getting it in fish like mercury? The other day, no offense to anyone of their backgrounds and religious beliefs, but the other day a couple of Jehovah's Witnesses came to my door. Well, I assumed so when I saw them. It's a glass, and I saw them. I went to the door. Are you Jehovah's Witnesses? And they said, yes. I said, oh, good, just a minute. I went and I got the paperwork that I passed out to you about what fluoride has been known to do. And I said, and I understand that your religion does not allow to be medicated. Can you please take care of this? And I also understand that Christian Scientists are the same. So really, it's on many levels that this is not okay. And since I'm unfamiliar with how these things work, even though you've seen me several times now in a row, I have a completely unrelated subject. Do I need to sit down and come back, or can I continue?
No, you get your few minutes, and you can talk about whatever you want.
Okay, next
except
subject.
for an agenda item.
Please help, whatever you can, or give us suggestions on who to talk to. I mean, okay. That's that on the fluoride. Second of all, my husband and I, walking from Corona down to Crystal Cove, often take a plastic bag with us. People look at us like we're homeless, but we're picking up trash. What's really unfortunate is that there are no trash cans at the bus stops. So you see all these wrappers written from another language or whatever piled along Cameo Shores, along PCH. I would like to see trash cans put so that there is an opportunity for the person who does want to throw trash away or is picking it up and doesn't want to carry it on their entire walk.
Thank you, ma'am. That's a good suggestion. I think the city manager was writing as you were speaking. Anybody else has a public comment on a non-agenda item? Good evening, Larry.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I think if I felt that way about fluoride, I'd buy bottled water, I guess.
It's got hormones in it.
I've been a resident here in Newport Beach for 30 years, and I'm here tonight to talk about the election of 2006. And that may seem odd to you, but some of those who were on the losing end of two ballot propositions appearing on that ballot seem to be unwilling to acknowledge that the people have spoken. The 2006 ballot had two propositions with radically different visions for the future of our city. One was a general plan update that completely rewrote the city's general plan. That update was crafted by 38 public members representing all points of view in our city and largely confirmed as proposed by the Planning Commission and the City Council. There were scores of public meetings and a lot of give and take as to the final version of the general plan update. The other ballot proposition was drafted by a handful of people from the Greenlight political organization to effectively restrict much of the city's unbuilt entitlement by forcing a public vote as a precondition for use of much of the city's unbuilt entitlement. No public input was asked for or received on the Greenlight vision for the future. The update of the general plan passed by a comfortable margin, while the Greenlight vision of the future was overwhelmingly rejected. Some Greenlight acolytes now complain that a development agreement which will implement a portion of the new general plan pertaining to Newport Center is somehow a rush job that is unfavorable to the city. On the contrary, the matter's been discussed over a period of time. It was in the general plan. The matter has been heard once by the Planning Commission. It will be heard again by the Planning Commission and then at least twice at the City Council as well. But the real complaint of those that don't like what's going on with the Newport Center plan is that they don't like what the general plan provides. The plan for the build-out of Newport Center does not require a general plan amendment. which is the same thing as saying the plan is not inconsistent with the new general plan. In fact, every last aspect of the Irvine Company plan is entirely consistent with the new general plan. So it is disingenuous for the losers of last year's election to write letters and emails to the Daily Pilot to try to persuade the public that what is being proposed is something in addition to what is allowed in the new general plan. It is not. Lastly, the recommendation to allow residential uses in Newport Center came from the Citizens Advisory Committee, not the Irvine Company. Sure, the Irvine Company will benefit, but it was not their idea in the first place. The development agreement that is being negotiated provides tens of millions of dollars of public benefit to the city. That is a huge amount of money to receive from a landowner for giving the public exactly what the public authorized in the new general plan, residential uses in Newport Center. I find it highly ironic that those complaining the loudest that the deal is not rich enough are the very people who wanted no units at all. Those who sanctimoniously insisted that past ballot propositions be implemented as the will of the people apparently have no use for the will of the people when it is not their will. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tucker. Anybody else has a public comment on a non-agenda item? Okay, seeing no one, we'll close public comments. Move on to our last item on the agenda, which is proposed assessment district number 92 area. Oh, I'm sorry. I jumped the gun. I'm trying to get out of here. Oral reports from City Council on committee activities. Does anybody have an oral report that they want to talk about? Okay, seeing none. Mr. Lipo, our planning director, will give us an update on Planning Commission agenda for November 15th, 2007.
Mayor and members of the City Council, on November 15th, the Planning Commission looked at the Hoag Health Care Center proposal for 500 to 540 Superior Avenue. This request, when it is approved, if it is approved, would allow for the conversion of the old technology center to all medical offices. Unfortunately, after the draft EIR circulated, Caltrans asked for some additional queuing analysis, and then it was determined that the stacking on northbound Newport to westbound Hospital Road was a significant impact, so we're recirculating that. This item will come back to the Planning Commission on the 17th of January. Next, West Santa Ana Heights General Plan Amendment. That was simply a bookkeeping measure so that our general plan reflects what is on the ground for the Santa Ana Heights specific plan. There was a little glitch in terms of what the county originally intended, so we're working on that. When this comes back to you next month, we will have that little bookkeeping issue straightened out. Item number 4 on that agenda was the North Newport Center Plan Community. After a presentation by the Irvine Company and questions by Planning Commission and some further direction, we requested that this item be continued to the Planning Commission meeting that's going to be held day after tomorrow because there was a noticing problem when the Pacific Plan Community text area was expanded. There's a different set of labels that was added. Everybody within 300 feet didn't get the notice, so that's continued. Lastly, Arches Grill. This was just notification for receive and file by the Planning Commission that we extended a temporary use permit to allow service of lunch at the new site on 29th Street until the new use permit is processed and approved.
Thank you. Any questions of Planning Director Lipo? None? Thank you. Okay, now we get to what I wanted to do, current business. Proposed assessment district number 92, area generally bounded by Riverside Avenue, Cliff Drive, Tustin Avenue, and West Coast Highway for undergrounding utilities and designation as an underground utilities district. Do we have a staff report? Now you can ask us for direction.
Good evening. Assessment District 92 is the area generally bounded by Riverside, Cliff, Tustin, and West Coast Highway. For the staff report, we're asking for approval of 4 resolutions, including the adopting of the proposed boundaries, declaring intentions, giving preliminary approval of the engineer's report without ITCC, setting the public hearing date for January 22nd, 2008, ordering the assessment ballots to be sent out, and approving the contracts for utility companies' work improvements. And the second item is to approve the bond council agreement.
Any questions by council? Okay.
Just wonder if anybody has heard one way or the other as far as, does this seem to be well supported at this point? Because the petition is a couple of years old.
I did speak to Ned McCune, the proponent of Assessment District 92, earlier today, and he indicated that there is still a lot of strong support for this district.
And Ned, every time it appears that this gets slowed down a little bit, it gives me 3 or 4 email messages, and I think that there is quite a bit of support in this area. This is the Mariners Mile business complex in addition to several of the residences above it.
Very good, thank you. All right, I'll open it up for public comment. Is there anybody who would like to comment on this agenda item from the public? Okay, seeing no one, let's bring it back to council for discussion.
I'd like to move the following resolutions. Resolution receiving a petition and adopting a map, resolution declaring the intention to order the construction of certain improvements, and another resolution giving preliminary approval to the report of the assessment engineer, and a resolution approving utility improvement contracts for utility improvements on the District 92, and approve the bond council.
Second.
All right, any further discussion?
Just a question, does this include that tax that it does include that?
No, it does
No,
not
it
include
doesn't.
the tax. Yeah. Earlier today, just to illuminate what Councilwoman Gardner was referring to, earlier today, we had a study session, we had a discussion with regard to a portion of the fee that's typically charged for the undergrounding to the owner of the property, and that's kind of a holdback in case the IRS decides to tax the transaction. And traditionally, in the past, we, up till this point, have included that fee, and then typically it's been rebated back to the property owner after 8 years, after the statute of limitations or whatever is expired for the IRS to request the fee. This district assessment was prepared without inclusion of the fee, under the assumption that the fee was no longer required, or that the city, that the Edison Company was no longer requiring us to make a provision for the fee or be liable for the fee. Edison Company changed their mind and said, we are going to be still primarily liable for the fee if there is a fee charged, but based upon advice of council, which we have here this evening as well, the thought is that the chance that the IRS is going to assess this fee is almost non-existent. And so therefore, we're moving forward with this assessment district without the typical fee being assessed along with the cost of actually constructing the improvements. Is that fairly accurate? Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I got a question.
Yes, Councilman Sellers.
Why does it take so long to get to the hearing? Why does it take May 8th to the hearing, for the public hearing on this project? And that's like 5 months from now.
I thought it was January 22nd.
Yeah, January 22nd.
What's this May 8th there?
Is that in the resolution that you're looking?
Well, I'm looking on page 5 of the staff report, item number 4 on the attachments. Maybe that's a misprint.
It does say January 22nd on my copy. I do apologize if there was a misprint on
Here,
yours,
it says
though.
May 8th. Public hearing is May 8th.
Attachments. Oh.
It's probably a misprint, I'm guessing.
Well, look at resolution attachment number 4. What does it say there? Because that's what we're really
The
approving.
resolution does say January 22nd, right?
Okay. Yeah, apparently there's a typographical error
Okay.
at the very,
It says 22nd there.
when it's talking about the attachments.
Okay.
Okay. All right, any further comment? Councilman Curry.
Yeah, the resolution, Section 8, hires the financial advisor in accordance with the contract hereby approved. Is that a contract that's ongoing, or, because I don't think it's attached here. I mean, it's not worth slowing the process down, but.
Is that an ongoing contract?
But it's not
we have
attached.
ours? I think the answer is yes.
Yes, it is a contract that we've been using for all the assessment districts. I have a copy here if you would like it.
Okay, any further comment? Please vote.
Motion carries.
All right, motions for reconsideration. Anybody want a motion, or council, or City Madam Clerk?
A motion to reconsider the vote on any action taken by the city council at either this meeting or the previous meeting may be made only by one of the council members who voted with the prevailing side.
Okay, anybody want to make a motion for reconsideration? We're adjourned. Thank you.